Jared Bridegan murder case.
You may remember the father of four murdered almost a year ago in front of his daughter, who was in the car at the time.
Parents of children with split custody usually have a routine for pickups and drop-offs. There's almost always a specific date and time, and the location seldom varies. Keeping children on a schedule with the least disruption usually makes the transition easier. Parents quickly fall into the habit of taking the same route to the point that an outsider could set their clock by their passing. For two of Jared Bridegan's children, those trips have been permanently cut short. For a third, that final ride with her father will be a lifelong traumatic event. Jared Bridegan was born to Gaylord and Joanne Bridegan in Warrensburg, Missouri. He moved with his family to Jacksonville, Florida at a young age. In 2007, he graduated from the Douglas Anderson School of the Arts, a magnet school in the area, and then went on to receive a BS in digital media with an emphasis in cinema production from Utah Valley University in Orem, Utah. Bridegan made rapid advances in his career, holding such positions as Senior UX, User Experience Designer at Canopy, Director of UX at Web.com, and later became the Chief Technology Officer at Clean Simple Eats. His latest position was that of a Senior Design Manager at Microsoft. In 2005, Bridegan married Shauna Gardner, the daughter of Sterling and Shelley Gardner, co-founders of the highly successful Stampin' Up! Arts and Crafts Company. Although the birth of a twin son and daughter followed soon after, it was no secret that the marriage was not a happy one. Things came to a head when there were signs that Gardner was having an affair with her personal trainer. She filed for divorce in February 2015 and sought primary custody of their twin children. Gardner also claimed that Bridegan exhibited disturbing and abusive behavior toward their children. In return, Bridegan accused Gardner of spying on him and treating him in a disparaging manner in front of the children. Gardner married her second husband, Mario Enrique Fernandez, in 2018 and runs a baking company, Beach Baked 904. Fernandez, who emotionally supported her during her divorce from Bridegan, manages rental properties. Bridegan did not let his unhappy first marriage prevent him from finding love and eventually married an account manager, Kirsten Bridegan, who quit her job to become a full-time mom once the first of their two children was born. On the evening of February 16, 2022, Jared Bridegan had just dropped off his 10-year-old twin son and daughter at their mother's house, with his 2-year-old daughter, Bexley, along for the ride. On their way back to St. Augustine, where he lived, Bridegan spotted a tire in the middle of the road near the exit of the Sanctuary neighborhood. Bridegan pulled over and attempted to move the tire. While he was doing so, he was shot multiple times. His vehicle's hazard lights were still blinking, and his daughter was unharmed in her car seat. When Bexley was spoken to later to see if she had witnessed anything they could use, the child said, "Boom, boom, boom, daddy on the ground." Nothing was taken from Bridegan's body or the vehicle, and the placement and the timing of the tire were suspicious. The police believe this to be a planned attack, a feeling shared by those close to Bridegan. His wife, Kirsten, told the local news station that she was pretty clear that someone knew his route, his schedule. "I have felt since the beginning that this was planned, this was thought out, and that this was specific to Jared." Bridegan's brother, Adam Bridegan, added, "I won't get into specifics, but I did have several conversations with Jared where he did express concerns that something like this could happen to him. He did have concerns on his life." Rewards for leads as to who was responsible for the execution quickly soared to $55,000. The case became of global interest as people speculated what could have happened. After checking security video from homes and businesses in the area that night, Jacksonville Beach investigators determined a dark-colored Ford F-150 with tan or brown running boards, likely a 2004 to 2008 model with a silver toolbox in the back, may have been involved. By summer, the police seemed to have focused their attention on one individual, returning to his apartment several times to search for evidence. While the investigators did not disclose the evidence that linked the suspect, Henry Tenon, to the crime, they did reveal one interesting fact. Tenon's most recent residence was owned by Gardner Fernandez's second husband, Mario Fernandez, at the time of the murder. Tenon has 9 arrests in Jacksonville on minor offenses, according to jail records. Jail records show he was already in jail awaiting trial for the previous charges of possession of a weapon by a felon and driving with a suspended or revoked license on a third or subsequent conviction. That arrest report stated he had a shotgun in the trunk during a traffic stop. In addition to living in a home owned by Fernandez, Tenon also worked for him as a contractor. "I know he did little jobs for Mario here and there when he asked him to," an anonymous roommate told the local paper. He also said that Tenon seemed like a quiet guy, up early every morning for work, just doing his thing. He said Tenon would just crash on the couch when he needed a place to stay. On January 25, 2023, Jacksonville Beach Police Department Chief Gene Paul Smith announced that Henry Tenon had been charged with conspiracy to commit murder, second-degree murder, accessory after the fact to a capital felony, and child abuse. With the case garnering so much attention, it was inevitable that the press would hound Bridigan's ex-wife. At first, she remained as quiet as possible, not making statements and avoiding the funeral completely in the hope that her family would be left alone. Once invasive photos of her children were taken and suspicion about her involvement became public, Gardner Fernandez hired prominent Jacksonville defense attorney Hank Cox. She claimed that her twins, at 10 years of age, were old enough to realize what was happening and were frightened and struggling with all of the media attention in addition to processing the death of their father. Regardless of whether or not she was involved in the murder, this was a legitimate concern for her to have. Much attention has also been placed on Fernandez, given his history of intimidating acts. A neighbor felt he was intimidating her because she feeds stray cats that he didn't like. She said he intentionally walked his pit bull right up to where she was feeding them, according to the incident report written up by the police. Fernandez claims he was just walking his dog and it was nothing malicious. The officer advised him about the municipal ordinances involving dangerous dogs and suggested he contact animal control if he has a problem with feral cats. There have been several other threats and run-ins with Fernandez regarding the cats. The police are keeping information to themselves for now, but they are confident that Tenon did not act alone. Aside from Fernandez, he had no other connection with Bridigan. So far, it is unknown if Tenon has revealed any names or if he would be willing to do so as part of a plea deal. There's still a reward of at least $55,000 for anyone willing to offer any additional information to the police. Somewhere out there is at least one other person who knows why Jared Bridigan was gunned down in cold blood and deserves to be in a prison cell alongside Henry Tenon. Is it Shannon Gardner Fernandez or her husband Mario Fernandez? They are certainly the most likely suspects and the ones with the strongest connection to Bridigan. Is it possible that there's another possible suspect as yet undiscovered by the police? Given the pressure that the department must be under, it seems highly unlikely, considering the coverage this case is getting. Even now, people are eagerly awaiting Tenon's trial in hope of learning about any of the previously undisclosed information. Until new details emerge, we'll just have to wait and wonder who hated Jared Bridigan, who would plan his murder and allow him to be shot in front of his 2-year-old daughter. Whatever injury Bridigan has done to this person, did his wife and children deserve to go through this? One also has to consider what is perhaps the most chilling question of all. If they get away with this, will they feel safe enough to resort to these methods again in the future? As these questions fill the minds of everyone following the story, they're nothing compared to what the family of Jared Bridigan is going through. They need answers and justice because they deserve to remember their loved one as a person, not just the victim of an unsolvable case. The police are confident that those answers are out there, and they are closing in. Whoever the guilty party is, their life is over just as surely as Bridigan's. They just don't know it yet.
97 killing Chicago, Gilbert. He gets free when you still get